Is there sibling rivalry happening at your house? Well, you're not alone. But how does sibling rivalry affect the family? Well, there are significant effects. We're going to be talking about them in this video. I'm Nicholeen Peck, and I teach all about family unity, relationships, and self-government. And in this video, we are going to be discussing sibling rivalry and what your family can do. In this video, I'm going to share 5 effects that sibling rivalry has on your family culture, your relationships, and your bond. But I'm also going to be sharing with you at the end of this video some tips of things that you can do to stop that sibling rivalry from having some of these effects. Have you seen this at your house? The children are playing together, maybe they're playing Lego or something like that, and all of a sudden one person grabs something that someone else was using or was in their pile of blocks. And then another person says, "Hey, give that back!" And they reach over and they try to get it back from the other person. Well, that's sibling rivalry. And what that looks like is force. So the first effect is this appearance of force that happens in the family, where everyone is trying to force the other person to comply with what they want. This is really damaging for the whole family, because what happens is that one person that tries to force a toy into their pile or their hand then causes another person to power struggle, and then they try to force the other person to give it back. Then when the parents see the power struggle happening, guess what they do? They start going in to force the children to stop forcing each other. So then they're power struggling too. Then we have this culture of force and of power struggle that ends up taking over the whole environment. This can become very toxic and very draining. You know, there's a lot of parents at the end of the day who are like, I just need to have some hot chocolate or coffee and just silence for a minute because it's been too much. Well, there are things that we can do. We're going to talk about those things later, but just know that that is a direct result of that sibling rivalry creating that tone of force in your home environment. The next effect is the feeling of tension or stress. In fact, when a person is engaging in sibling rivalry, they are deciding to cater to their feeling of tension or stress or anxiety. Now, every person experiences some anxieties. If you need help with what to do about anxieties, I definitely have videos for that on my channel that you can find. In general, most people can learn to control their anxieties. When a person feels anxious, that leads to a feeling of being more tense or stressed out. So when someone is trying to force you and you feel you have to engage in a power struggle regularly in order to be understood or heard or to get your way or to even feel safe, then your anxiety levels, your stress and tension levels, they go way up. And this also spreads. It is contagious. One person has stress, then it spreads to everybody. So the whole family ends up feeling more short-tempered and more stressed, all because of that force that was started first in the sibling rivalry. I know there are a lot of different scenarios where people engage in sibling rivalry. What's happening at your house? How about you leave me a comment about what's going on, and when I get some time, I'll get back to you so that you can have a more specific answer for what you can do for the sibling rivalry at your house. When sibling rivalry happens and everybody is power struggling, including the parents, then what happens is everyone is on the defensive. This is terrible for our relationships. Even the parents are on the defensive. They're just waiting for the next blow up, the next power struggle. They start thinking of it as normal. Do you know sibling rivalry does not have to be normal? I think many people think it is. And it definitely does not need to be. In fact, I want to share with you a story, not to try to make it sound like my family's so great, but to just let you know what's possible. So my children, who are now mostly all grown, very rarely ever had moments of sibling rivalry. And it was because we purposely created a culture where they would see each other as friends, instead of just brothers and sisters, where they would see each other in a respectful way as a group of people instead of just individuals, all going together to be this certain type of family. We purposely created a very intentional family culture that led toward family unity and good communication. And because of that, we increased the trust in everyone, and then nobody had to be on the defensive with anybody else. So when a family is in the habit of tolerating sibling rivalry and expecting it to somehow go away on its own, they are in essence telling the people, you should watch out for yourself, even in this family environment. You need to be on the defensive, which just means that you're establishing distrust right in your family unit. Sibling rivalry also ruins the tone in the whole family. What type of a tone or feeling do you want your family to have? Do you want it to have love? Do you want it to have trust, like we've been talking about? What about calmness? What about security and confidence? All of those tone elements come out of good bonding happening in the family. So if people are arguing with each other, those tone elements are attacked. In fact, they don't seem like they're even possible to many people. Many people start thinking in order to exist, we just have to go through these fights, that somehow that's just part of it. That doesn't mean you can't learn anything from a fight, but honestly, if a person's in a hostile environment all the time, that actually ends up just raising their blood pressure, their anxiety levels, and their desire to be more selfish so that they can preserve themselves. What's happening to your tone in your home if you're tolerating sibling rivalry? It's better to fix it and to get the tone back to where it's supposed to be. In fact, in our home, we deliberately talked about the tone that we wanted, and we analyzed when the tone wasn't there where it needed to be, and then decided how we were going to make that fix as a group. This had everybody on the same page with the tone so that we protected that feeling that we wanted to have in our family. And that feeling was unity and love. Speaking of unity, sibling rivalry decreases unity, and it also decreases power. Okay? So the whole family, when they lose their unity, they also lose their power as a group. They lose their power to be able to support each other. They lose their power to be good influences on other people around them. Because if they are in an environment where there is a lot of hostility and arguing and contentiousness and selfishness going on, when you're trying to share something good to other people, some truths to other people, there's an inconsistency and people can feel it. You actually have a hard time declaring exact truths when you're not living according to them that yourself. Now, we all know the problems that happen with, religious leaders. Sometimes the pastor's family is having the greatest struggles and nobody knows it because the pastor is giving and giving everything that he can to his community of congregants, and his family is having a whole bunch of contention that's not being solved. And then there's a struggle, there's a conflict with him and with his children. So this is exactly what happens. The pastor then would lose some of his power to influence the people in his congregation for good, all because his family was actually not on the same page in their relationships and didn't have the skills that they needed in order to handle their problems, so they were resorting to force. In fact, there's something you need to know, and that is sibling rivalry can absolutely be a byproduct of too much parental force on the children. Okay? So when the parents are really forceful and they're heavy-handed on their children, raising the hand and getting angry at their children all the time, they shouldn't be surprised when the children decide to do those things to each other as well. So what do we do instead? Let's talk about that. So what do we do to create this culture where sibling rivalry is suddenly a thing of the past? Well, we do need to overhaul the whole culture. It's a proactive decision that parents need to make to deliberately change communication styles and ways that the family solves their problems. So this book right here, written by, Nicholeen Peck, it's called Parenting a House United, has actually been around since 2009. In that time, it has sold sold well over 55,000 copies at this point. This is a second edition. People have been using this book for years and years to help their families learn the skills and principles that they need for their own self-government and for their child's self-government. And it leads to, as the title of the book says, unity. So go to my website, teachingselfgovernment.com, go to the shopping page, find this book and many others that you can use to help your family on their road to being more united and having less sibling rivalry.